Show number two for the day. Today
Or show number
is
one if it's the first
or
one you
show
guys
number
are
one.
watching.
Yeah, if they're watching, they may only be watching 2A. So
Who knows? Well, it's another classification preview of the FHSAA state tournament because it's state championship week here in Florida.
it
And
is.
we are back to Dirty South with Cabra and Jason, which are oddly in
Howdy.
different spots today. Usually Jason's up top, and it's by, we're all weird.
I'm
I
always
see different
late, so
things.
I was actually not late to this one.
But however, we are laid out on your TV screen today. That's who we are.
We are doing 2A for this show, right?
Yes.
2A, which is wow all the
Is
way through.
wow.
It's wow.
It is wow. You know what? Usually I'm just
Yes.
making fun of Dan, but
That's
actually
you nailed it.
that does capture it. It
Yes.
does. It does capture it. It's
That
just
just
wow.
is just wow.
All right,
Yes.
so in starting this, right, if you guys didn't watch 3A or if you haven't watched 1A or the girls, right? Um, we Dan is busy doing his tickets punched. Brant is busy writing his previews and making his picks.
Yep.
And I am writing a fan's guide. Brant, your stuff will be available. You're hoping.
I am hoping Tuesday at lunchtime. We'll see.
Okay.
Two A is actually done.
Yeah.
So 2A folks, I've already written everything for yours. It's Monday lunchtime right now. I'm still picking girls, and then I got to build them up, and then I have a lacrosse game tonight. My daughter's playing it, but the goal is
Woo!
Tuesday. So whenever you're seeing this Tuesday lunchtime, hopefully all the picks are out.
Well,
Yes.
and same goes for me. I'm hoping to have the fans guides posted on Tuesday as well. They are quite an undertaking. I want to go ahead and say thank you to both of you as I was doing them because all the pictures that I've captured within it are thanks to Dan and his crew from last year. And
Awesome.
Brant and his rankings and his background provide me a ton of information to be able to provide you guys a write up. And then I go through and I talk about some of the history, I talk about all those different things. So it's a nice collaborative effort. I appreciate you guys helping me with that.
It's
So,
It's
really cool.
it's it's
And
amazing. It's a combination media guide with a little bit of no picks, but a little bit, a
get it,
little, a
Posey.
little bit, a little
it is so
bit of
cool.
a little bit of
Come
color of
on.
what to watch. So you have just the
Yeah.
straight black and white historical stuff, which is you're not gonna find anywhere else.
Yeah.
Um,
He doesn't call them. First of all, let's call us. He doesn't call them picks, but he made picks.
he doesn't want to wake up to 30 Instagram messages like I did yesterday. So
Were they kind? Were they kind?
29 of the 30. No, actually, all of them are
Okay,
pretty
all
kind.
right, that's good. That's
Well,
good because I hope everybody knows. Like we
It's
really,
fall and fun. It's
that's
become a
right.
thing. They love
yes.
people love proving me wrong.
All right, so
106. Come on,
Yes.
Jason.
yeah, 106 pounds in 2A. We begin at the top with Ryder Cohen, a freshman out of Gulf Breeze. He is your Region 1 champion. Bottom of that, the top side is Gary Mendez, Mater Academy. He is a returning state placer, I believe, and he is your Region 4 champ. You got RJ Phelan and Matthew Schuler are your two region champs on the bottom. And according to Brant Parsons, the one and number two in the
Yes.
state, at least I haven't seen your latest rankings, but one and two on this in the state, that means that the bottom side is more difficult or not.
It depends on what your goal is. So when I do my brackets, I don't even think I can show this, but when I see one that has a semifinal, I circle the bottom of it so then I know to go back and be like, "Whoa, this is a semifinal to watch." This to me is the semifinal is one of the semifinals I'm already excited for with Schuler and Phelan being on the same end. They've not wrestled this year. Uh, likewise, or no, wait, they have. Never mind. Schuler actually has beaten him. Um,
Down at
yeah, so
Gorman?
Schuler has beaten him 9-6 this year. That's why he's ranked one, and Phelan is ranked two. So that shows that it's a close match. And if we see them again, doesn't mean that someone at the top can't win it. Doesn't mean someone in the bottom can't spoil it, but that to me is one of those semifinals that I'm already getting ready to watch.
Yeah.
Dan, your first reaction, because this is a first reaction.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, obviously with Schuler, Phelan, Ostaculo, and Mendez all making it the top 4 kids in the state, chalk went chalk. But there's some, I mean, listen, Cano, Austin, anybody with that last name, if you're in Austin, you always show up to wrestle. That young man is gonna try to put a kink in the spokes, right? And
Okay.
yeah, just great.
I
I mean, I
like
see
that.
that.
Kink in the spokes.
Yeah, I see
I like
that.
that.
I see your favorite is Matthew Schuler coming out of this bracket.
Yeah, but it's not easy. Like I think I have the same reaction to that you guys have, and that is, one of the themes when I was writing the fans guide for 2A was, man, Gulf Breeze, man, that program is rising. They've got some studs, and Ryder Cohn is a freshman hammer. Now he sits in the quarter that I think is a super good quarter with
Oh yeah.
Lato and Maurer from Riverdale, Jacob Rhodes. Um, but sneakily, I think the person up top that everybody's got to be a little careful about is Obstaculo. I think that
Yes.
that's a person that you
Yeah,
need to be paying attention to.
they
Now, I
want to.
like Mendez and everything else,
Excuse me.
but
You want to avoid that obstaculo course.
ooh,
Ooh,
that was
that
great.
was actually pretty good. That's twice now. I
Ooh.
want to make fun of him and I can't.
He gives us plenty of opportunities to make fun of him for other things. So you know what? So Brant, you're not giving picks for
I
individual
mean,
picks.
I'll talk. I'm not on my site. I'll have 1 through 8, 2 to watch and first round matches to watch. I'll let you. I mean, I'm picking uh Schuler in this one, and I'm picking him to wrestle against Obstaculo again. He teched them during the season, but their region final just on Saturday it was 1-0. So it's tightening up there.
1-0.
The thing I think we should also focus throughout this whole thing is we have an idea. We did 3A already. We had an idea who the top 2 teams were. We had an idea who was going to win. The team race in 2A is going to capture some people's attention.
It should.
Yeah, I mean it should, but you have Tampa Jesuit, Lake Gibson, you have Somerset, 2 of those teams state champs last year in 2A, 1A. Charlotte's always in the mix. Clay sort of in the mix, but those top 3 teams is really where this team race comes down to. And Lake Gibson won the region over Tampa Jesuit. Changes sometimes when you get to state. You throw in some more parts. So I think we're going to look at every bracket along that way, and this bracket really sticks out to me in that case because Zach Leto has a chance to really pick up some points. If he
Huge.
is he able to get past Cohen, he gets into that semifinal. Semifinals are the most important round in a team competition, and he would be a decent. He could beat Obstaculo or Mendez, whoever he would face there. That would be a monster team race. The way my bracket worked out has him on the back, and it has Austin on the back facing each other in the third place blood round, whatever you want to call it. But the chance to
Yeah.
wrestle for third, that becomes a key match if that happens.
Yeah, no doubt. Because I mean, look, that opening round match. I mean, who knows who's going to win? But the fact, so as especially when you look through these brackets, when you look at Somerset, Lee Gibson, Jesuit, some others, but mainly those 3, see where they might cross paths because it might happen in the Concy quarters or whatever, and it might end up being a huge match.
Yes.
So I think that's super important.
And
All right.
If Leto ends up in the third place match, he most likely would be wrestling Fatal.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so you,
Uh,
so
If my
Phelan,
pick goes right with Schuler.
so you guys have Phelan in the third place match because that bottom half is tough. I mean, but yeah, I guess I guess we're saying we're going to see Phelan Austin in that quarterfinal. Is that what we think will happen? And then the winner from there will go into the semis, and so yeah, Phelan or Austin are going to end up on the backside, right?
yeah.
I mean,
Somebody,
we have Schuler coming out of the bracket there, so yeah,
yeah,
Yep.
they'll both end up on the
both
backside
will end up on the back somewhere.
if it goes to
And
plan. But
Phelan
I
has
mean,
a 2-1 win.
I
He has
mean,
a
who
2-1 win
knows?
over Leto at state tours.
So I mean, who knows? All right, moving to 13.
Yes.
Your region champs up top are Nathan Harvey and Eric Bush. Your region champs on the bottom are Brock Glover out of Jesuit and Nathan Haloko, from Martin County. Is that how you say his last name?
I don't. I've talked to his dad many times. I don't know exactly, but I think it's Holoko.
Okay,
So I'll
Haloko.
go with.
All right. And you know, as you look at this, Dan, I know that you're giving your first initial impression of our 113-pound bracket. Is there something I want to say what stands out to me, but I don't want to hog the airwaves. So you tell me what stands out to you
What sta-
first.
I'm
what
guessing mine's
stands
the
out
same
to
as yours too.
me, what stands out to me is the number one kid in the state at 2A is Garrett Ferguson, and he's a
Mm,
dark horse on your on
Because he
your
lost in the
he was number
semis.
one. He won't be
He
this week.
won't be, but he
A
was.
note of Ferguson. The reason he was number one.
because he's number one right now
He's the
because I
only
have
Florida
Pablo
kid
open.
because I haven't updated my rankings.
Right.
I long the rankings and my picks are derivative of each other, and I also don't want people to see them before the picks come out,
Yeah.
and kind of take that steam away. But Ferguson was number one. He's the only one in Florida during the season who's beaten Bush. He beat him 13-10 earlier in the season. Bush, of course, is Illinois 1A state champ last year. Moved
Right.
down here to Southwest Florida. Kind of moved around trying to figure out where what school he was going to live in when they were looking. But he has been dominant for the most part since he got here. Ferguson is the one person who has beaten him, but then Ferguson, as you said,
I
not
mean,
the region champ.
Harvey took care of business in that. I
Yes.
mean, I think he was winning like 10-1 when he finally got the fall.
And
So,
and heading into that, Ferguson's losses were to Lytle from Harmony and Deloach twice from North Bay Haven. So he hasn't lost to poor wrestlers. He placed fifth. He's the only returning state placer in this bracket, and I'm sure this is what stuck out to you, Jason, since I'm talking. But that quad, the third one down, Brock
mhm.
Glover, Garrett Ferguson, Caden Moore. Your reward for finishing second in your region is Caden Moore. That Ferguson Moore match just
Is going to be
it's
awesome.
something else. I
Well,
don't.
and it sits tough for Alejandro Toro from Somerset.
Yeah, who's in that mix and
And,
likely can't get out of that onto get any points out of there.
yeah. So, our philosophy when we used to coach was if you book your ticket to the state tournament, but you don't end up scoring any points, were you really there to help the team? I mean, especially the team winning a team race, the
Hmm.
answer is no. If you bring 10, but four go 0-2, you really brought six
Yeah,
because in a team race, that's the way that works. And it just happens to be in a situation where Toro sits in a quarter that is super, super tough. And, as I look through this, um, Eric Bush stands out, but I don't know. I mean, Hardy, he's got a number of different losses throughout the course of the
yeah.
year, but he really looked good last weekend. So Bush is the favorite. How the rest of it plays out, I don't know, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, his your not picks shows Glover, Harvey, Tucker, and Haluko as the contenders, but they're not picks; they're contenders. So
And huge team race here with Glover, by the way. There's no Lake Gibson 13-pounder, and
That's
if
right.
Somerset goes 0-2, and if Glover, who I predict going to the final, if he can get there, huge amount of points, uh, upwards of 20 plus points for
And you
Jesuit right
know
there.
what? If Alejandro Toro can pull off an
The big
upset,
upset, then whew,
then wow, does
it's
it
the other
swing
way
to
around.
Somerset?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
does
I
it swing?
mean, yeah, that quarter right there is because I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if any of those four make the semis. I mean, or
yeah.
make the semi. I mean, I couldn't. You would if either one of you, if the semis happened and you were like, oh, A, B, C, or D is in there, I'd be like, yeah, that seems about right. I mean, they're
Just to
just
just to
they're
note,
just that good.
Glover has a major decision win over Toro. Moore has a pinfall win over Toro.
Yeah. All
So
right.
I mean,
So
anything can happen though.
moving to 120, one of the best weights in the building. Okay. I'm not just
Yes.
talking 2A,
Yes.
3A,
Overall.
1A, girls, whatever. One of the best weights in the building. Up top, region champ Jacob Bucci from Clay, returning state runner up. He shares the top side of the bracket with Malachi Ortiz, who was the state champion who beat him, right?
Yep.
Last year. You also have state champion Jake Austin, who is down on the bottom side of the bracket. Now it's Charlotte, won a state title with Somerset. Man, there's tons of storylines for you
And
journalists
an
there.
And
eighth
none of them are
grader
my favorite.
and an eighth
And
grader that is unbelievable.
and an eighth grader and Lucas Barrios, who is number one by Cabra and really is super special. We only talked about 4 kids. The rest of the bracket is just as tough. Brant,
Yeah.
give me your 2 cents.
All right. Well, I like to start at the top. There's some other places to discuss, and just to tell you a little bit about the research that goes into our rankings. Austin and Barrios have not faced each other, but they both wrestled at the Grappler up in Michigan this past fall. Barrios finished second. Austin finished fourth. Barrios beat Michigan's Wyatt Lees 3-2. Lees majored Austin in the semis or in the quarters, and then beat him 7-0 for third place. That's the only comparison I can find between the
And
two.
then Austin
That's the
turns
only
around
reason. It's
and
the only reason
beats.
Barrios is ranked ahead of Austin because I don't know that they faced each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Dan?
And then Austin has that huge win at the knockout against what's Pedersen in the country.
Oh, Patterson is he was 3 when they wrestled.
Yeah.
So man, so he obviously, again, a kid with that last name always shows up to wrestle. So
And
you can never count those kids out, right?
and Austin does have the win over Ortiz there too, even though Ortiz finished higher at the knockout. Austin beat Ortiz 11-5. I mean, it is crazy to have the top talent at this level. And again, it's a semifinal with a circle on it because that semifinal, that's one I wanted to see as a final. We didn't get it. Other guys that you talked about the depth of this: Matthew Ireland, Braden River, 68-5.
Right.
Yeah.
Certainly,
Gavin Salmons, 46-3.
You're looking at last year. You got to look at the bracket because he's now 49-4. My rankings are before regions.
Again, why I don't do this?
But even down on you have Rossi and Porter Daniels in the first round, which I think is a match to watch. Team race: Tyler White goes against Xavier Chavez. A winner springs in the first round. That would be, according to my rankings, would be an upset. But some key points there. I mean, this weight class has it all.
It does. It does. And I'll tell you what, if the eighth grader who
Yes.
has all the ability in the world makes a run and wins a title in 2A 120 in this bracket,
Yeah.
you better watch out for the next 4 years.
Yes.
Because this might be one of the toughest brackets around. And
in the stadium.
He wins
exactly.
He wins this bracket. We'll see what happens in 126 and 138 in the coming years, where no one weighs that weight anymore.
That's
Whatever
right.
weight he weighs, everybody will weigh something different.
All right, so let's move to 126.
You guys got
2A.
Barrios, so it sounds like you guys have
I
Barrios.
have Barrios as my favorite.
I have Barrios.
I do.
But I mean,
you know
like the thinnest the margin, anything could happen.
I agree.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when you have a kid like Malachi Ortiz in there who is
Well, you have two. Do you have 2 state champs?
Yeah, and Jake Austin.
Yeah, and you've got this, and you've got an eighth grader, and right now we're taking the eighth grader as the favorite. I mean, that just tells you how good he is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well,
crazy.
and then there's 126 who has some kid there that's pretty good.
Yeah, it does. All right, let's start at the top, away from him though. And the top side of the bracket, we have region champ Zach Gerardo from Lincoln, Robert DeJesus from Lake Gibson, You got Kale Seneca from Fort Myers, and you have Mr. Sebastian De Janeiro, who's looking to win his fourth state title. Look, this is a great weight. It is fantastic from top to bottom, but De Janeiro is another level. Unless you guys disagree with me.
I can't remember last time he lost to a Florida wrestler. I don't even know if it's happened in his high school career. I'm sure maybe at some point there was a stumble. I know most of his losses, all of his losses this year came at national tournaments,
Yeah.
both here, Ironman. I believe there was another one on there that they traveled to. I can't remember exactly which one. I mean, this is a guy who's dominated Florida wrestling. The best thing about this bracket is he's on the bottom, and we have number 2, 3, and 4 at the top, and De Jesus, Carlos Sainz, and Gerardo from Lincoln. Congrats, you win a region. You get Carlos Sainz in the second round in the quarters. But talking about huge team race in that one. If Sainz overcomes Gerardo, which I don't know that he will, but if he should make the semis there, he would face De Jesus. That would be a huge team race
point.
because we know how important semifinals are. De Jesus does have a 4-1 win between the two this season.
Yeah.
And wow, they're tough. Yeah, another kid, just like we mentioned in our 3A preview. Sebastian, can you please look at a camera and give us some
Yes.
sort of emotion?
Uh, yeah. Yeah. Sebastian looks like he's been there. Like
I mean, he's been there.
I've done this before, so
Yeah.
it's
He
all
goes
good.
like he wins, he walks over, they raise his hand. He walks over
Yeah.
to the coach and he gives him 5 and he walks and he grabs his shirt and he leaves.
Yeah, let's get a big smile on the hand raise and
Yeah.
maybe a huge hug or a throw in the corner. So
There is no way. There's no way. I would be so surprised if he
he's not
threw
doing a throw.
McMath or whatever.
He's not
it's
doing it.
great.
He's not doing a throw, but a good hug would work.
And
You
guys,
know,
check it out. He's got when you look at this media guide, when you guys see it, there's bracket busters in there, which are pretty cool.
who is my
And
bracket buster for 126?
Jules Lainez from MacArthur.
Okay.
We all
And the
grew
reason
up on MacArthur.
Well, I did because that was back in the day when MacArthur was winning state titles. So there we go.
MacArthur Milk. Okay.
And so no, I don't know what you're talking about. I was talking
We all
about the
grew
wrestling
up
team
on
MacArthur.
MacArthur. All right.
But I will say the bracket buster is not necessarily somebody who I think is going to win. Obviously, I think Sebastian De Janeiro is probably going to win the bracket, but someone who could make some noise, somebody who could get, who based upon what I've seen and the way the brackets are laid out, it can only be a number 4 out of region, and most region number 4s go 0-2 or 1-2, and that's kind of the end of it. So, it's tough from a number 4 position. I'm super interested in the Noah Scribner.
I was going to say, I want to make sure we
matchup.
talk about that one. Yeah.
That is the best matchup in the first round at 126 pounds.
And according to Cobra Wrestling bracket that I've been working on, that one really has you win, you have a chance for the podium, you lose, and you've really made it tough because you're going to get the loser of Gerardo Sainz in that. I don't know if you call it a blood round when there's 4 different matches, but to get on the podium, you're going to have a tough battle there if you lose that opening round match. So there's a lot on the line for those two.
Agreed.
Well,
Agreed.
I know you guys are going to 32 next, and I know Jason will introduce us, but another bracket that, I mean, you've got I don't know if he's still going to be the number 3 kid in the state. I haven't seen the new rankings yet, but your dark horse is a
None
kid
of us
that's
have.
number
They're all
3.
sitting in his head.
They're done. I haven't done.
They're done.
Oh, the rankings are done. I mailed them to you last night at like 1 a.m. You actually have access to them.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So 132. What were you saying, Dan? I'm sorry.
I'm saying I mean, when you got a bracket where your dark horse is Reed Yakes and your bracket buster is Rylan Herrera, that must be a damn good bracket because those 2 kids are hammers. And
well, one's a
returning
returning state runner-up, and he took 4th in his region.
Took his 4th in his region.
Yeah, so
So,
this is a hell of a bracket.
So your region champ from that region is Sebastian Bonachea. Is that how you say it?
Bonachia.
Sebastian Bonachea.
Sure, sure.
Sebastian won Region One was third a year ago, I believe. He shares that side of the bracket with Aiden Balma from Riverdale as the region champ. You've got Christian Fretwell from Lake Gibson down on the bottom side, sharing the bottom side of the bracket with Ben Norris. But I'm telling you right now, because of Max Brady at 138 pounds and because of Sebastian De Janeiro at 126 pounds, not that people are running to Christian Fretwell because that's a tough hammer as well,
Right.
but you got two four-timers on either side. 132
Oh, and
ends
what's
up being
and
just
Fretwell's what
great.
Fretwell's what, a three-timer,
Two
two-timer,
time.
three-time, two-timer. So you're running from three-timers to two-timers. Yeah, that's be careful what you wish for. Well, and you guys have been talking about the team race. I know that's been a big conversation with you too. I mean, this is a bracket where with Reed Yates, with Dylan Fernandez, with Christian
Mm-hmm.
Fretwell. I mean, even you've got a Jensen Beach kid in there that's really good, and Ben Norris. I mean, this is a bracket that could really
And,
determine some points, right?
and that quarterfinal at the top will be one I'll be stationed at if that happens with Bonachia and Yakes meeting. They met last year for third place when Bonachia was at Oakleaf. He won 3-1. I know it's hard to compare for a year later, but both are wrestling really well. The winner of that can probably start. I mean, Balma will not be an easy win either. He was a state placer in 23. He was injured last year, so not necessarily an easy road, but then you get a chance in that semifinal. But you got to get through that quarterfinal first. Just a note on Herrera, who you're talking about state finals last year. He actually medically forfeited in the third
Yeah, he
place
did.
match in the
He
region.
did. Yeah.
So he's
So I
banged
don't know
up, right?
what condition he's in. I know he's been nursing injuries off and on this year. He lost in the region. He got majored by Rudley Villarreal of Winter Springs. Battled back to through the blood round, and then did not wrestle in the fourth place or in the third place match. Ended up fourth. So I mean he's a danger there. But that's why he comes in as a potential bracket buster.
Yeah,
Well, and just
I
to,
mean, looking at each one of these quarters, like I know you guys break them down in quarters, right? I mean, this.
well,
Listen,
look at the third quarter, Dan. Look at the third quarter.
with
Yeah.
Scott, Fretwell, Thomas, and Arthur.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember, but obviously you know Fretwell, but Luke Arthur was a state
State
runner-up a year
finalist
ago.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is. As a matter of fact, I think I just made Luke Arthur's graphic
Yeah.
because they sent me a Manatee sent me a picture of him. I see. That's how I get to know these kids.
And Arthur battled Jake's tight this year 4-1. He's almost he's fifth in my rankings that no one has seen yet. Really, just because this thing is so loaded. I mean,
It is
with
loaded.
Balma and Bonachia and
Absolutely.
Yakes, there's just no room to move him past there. But just looking over this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wrestlers in this bracket that were state placers last year, and four of them or three of them were state placers before, and then the fourth is Balma, who was a state placer before. So lots of experience,
Yeah.
lots of people who have performed here,
Yeah.
lots of people who have ended up on the podium here that will not be blinded by the lights on Thursday.
Yeah, I even I think Dylan Fernandez has had some moments this year where he's looked way better than number 10, and could he have moments like that this year? At the
Well,
tournament.
he's gonna have a tough opening round match, but there's nothing to say that Fernandez. I mean, again, Somerset's in this battle. If he can somehow get that win and then also get a win in the quarters, which isn't beyond the realm of
Yeah.
possibility, he now makes the semis. Wow, that would be it would be huge to get
Huge
that
for
number of
Somerset.
points here at 132 pounds. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that would be a big thing. All right.
Wow. And then there's Maximus Brady.
138 pounds. I loved how Dan just simply jumps right to it.
Yep.
On the bottom of the bracket, sitting down at line number 16 is your three-time state champion, unbeaten Max Brady. And I will tell you right now, I haven't seen anyone beat Giovanni Solis the way that Max was
Yeah.
able to beat Giovanni Solis in the knockout finals. It
Yeah,
just
and it
doesn't
was something
happen.
because the year before, Giovanni Solis, I
Beat
think,
him.
beat him in overtime twice. And Maximus, he spends look, obviously Giovanni Solis comes out of that gladiator program, who we all know is speaks for itself. Maximus Brady has been spending a lot of time with Connor Beebe, especially in the offseason, and he also spent a lot of time this offseason uh, up at college, the college that he's looking to go to, and he spent a lot of time in that room with college wrestlers, and that makes a difference. I mean, I have a son at college, not at that level, but still college, so I can tell you what things I heard when he first got there. The level is just huge. So to be able to go and battle, he came
Yeah,
back for the Christmas knockout and he just looked on another level. Yeah.
he
Um,
really did. He really did. Let's talk about the other region champs. Up top, you got Brady Jackson from Lincoln. You got Julian Brady from Suncoast, who might have been a little bit of a surprise on his way to a region title. Jaden Bowles, obviously, from Jesuit. A huge, huge. I know that Noah Gregory pulls Max Brady first, and that is tough. But Lake Gibson will rely on like a Noah Gregory
And
and to try to come back and get some points.
yep.
you couldn't be in a worse spot than Noah Gregory. First off, 2A2 had five guys that could have placed here at 138. Bonilla from Lyman did not make
Mhm.
the trip here. But then
Lost to
you
Gregory, I think, right?
yes, he did. But then you get Gregory gets just, the ceremonial first round against Brady. But then you have Brady Jackson and Trevante Burgess, someone who's beaten Gregory from Lakeland. They're at the top. The loser of that ends up in the round to get to the podium.
That's right.
So it's a brutal. I mean, listen, there are certain teams that step up, that find magic at state tournament. Lake Gibson certainly is one of them. Maybe Noah can find some of that, beat Burgess and move west. I know he can. He's capable of doing. I don't know if he has. They've wrestled tight matches when they have wrestled. Um, but and then along those lines, just Brady Jackson and Trevante Burgess in the second round. You got Alexander Rigo and Preston Tompkins
In the
in the
first
first
round.
round
Yeah.
against each other. You have Julian Brady, who didn't come out of nowhere for me, only because I know Suncoast well. Someone who has that potential. If he wrestles like he did this past weekend, he could end up out of this quad. Even your fourth place guy there, Daniel De Almeida, has a couple of big wins this year. He's beat Gregory, the one we were talking about for Lake Gibson. So everybody there is competitive.
That's
Just
great.
the
Yeah.
top of
I
this
mean,
bracket
how about the
is
freshman Coney making a trip?
Yeah.
Good for
Return trip,
him.
I think.
he was
Yeah.
a state placer last year.
Yep.
I forget where he was at. It's not off the top of my head. Obviously
Oh
not
yeah,
every.
because his dad is coaches at Everglades.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
was at Matter last year.
I think he might have been
Um,
better. Yeah.
but
He's
state placer.
tough. Yeah, and he's in a
Yeah, he was at Matter, or yeah, Matter Academy.
tough. This one is tough. I mean, obviously, it's tough everywhere else except for Maximus
Well,
Brady. I
so
think. I
let's talk
think.
about draws, right? I
Yeah,
mean, so Bowles probably got the worst draw
to
um,
win, but he's
to
got a good
win.
way. He's got a good draw to get to the semis and
Right,
get
but
on the
but he has a
podium.
legitimate shot against in every other region champ
Yeah,
except for Brady. I mean, I'm again, we're just simply talking.
yeah,
I mean, can he pull off the upset? Absolutely, all those sorts of things. But sitting in one of the other region champ spots, he has a legit shot to make a run to the finals.
right,
He probably doesn't on the bottom side.
right. He's a semifinalist most likely, and
Yeah,
point race
Right.
comes into to play with that because we know how important getting to the finals is.
absolutely. All
Correct.
right.
Crazy to me that it's that good a bracket with Max Brady in it, because there's a lot of storylines in there to watch, even if you're not as focused maybe on who wins it, because Brady's just out of this world.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. All right,
That
moving
is
to 144 pounds. This is actually a weight that I really enjoy because I think there's a lot to kind of pull apart in this bracket. Up top, you've got Jonathan Bruner, Newsom the Beach is your region champ. Also, I believe a returning state placer. You got Solomon Lucas from North Fort Myers, who had a heck of a run down in their region, taking second, I think, to Charlotte. You got Xavier Albo from Jesuit, who is the region champ, who's on the bottom side of the bracket, and he shares the bottom side with Jordan Pineda from Varela, who also, I believe, is a returning state placer. So, but there is a lot that could happen in this bracket. I really like the second quarter of the bracket. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Brant, what do you think?
First off, I don't think you were making fun of me, but you were shocked when I had North Fort Myers. When I did my
I
two
would
eight
never make fun
two
of
A
you.
three preview. Oh, you didn't make fun of me, but I remember you being shocked that you're like, wait, North Fort Myers. Yeah, they've been
No, I actually was legitimately I knew they were a good
intrigued, I think
program.
would be
I
the
just
word.
didn't know that you
That
picked five champs from North Fort Myers.
yeah, and
So,
I think I was a little off on that, but they got some of them, and they did well as a team. To
mhm.
me, the bracket, obviously the main thing that sticks out because I always start at the top. Albo and Oliver, if they should make the final, Albo is now 2-1 against Oliver. Oliver won at knockout. Albo won
Duels.
at
Schools.
state duels. Thanks.
Mhm.
Lost my train of thought by a sudden victory. When
And
Oliver
last
won, it was
weekend.
7-6, and last week Albo won the region final. I believe it was um, little more further away than the 1 point matches the first time. So I think that's curious to watch. No easy ride there though for Oliver. Lucas in the quarters potentially. Bruner, as you said, two-time state placer in the semis. Lots to look at the top half of this bracket. That's what stuck out to me. Gary and Shannon, Lakai Hernandez in the first round. Huge match because I think the loser there doesn't get onto the podium because you've got the Pineda Glavin quarterfinal at the bottom, and the loser there goes up to face most likely the loser of the first round match. So huge match in terms of points there. Lots of team stuff to watch in this one, and you could end up having a. I don't know that it'll be that close on Saturday, but could you imagine if it's a close team race and you get Oliver and Albo going at each other in the finals? That just it would add the temperature up just a little bit.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
Which would be great for us as fans.
Oh, it'd be amazing. I listen. I will tell you right now. I do not cheer for anyone when I'm at these events unless it's like Florida against another state. But I do cheer for stories.
Yeah, and
Spoken like a journalist.
obviously,
Yes.
and here, the guy under the radar is Mason Otwell. Is that what you would say?
So I have him as my bracket buster, I believe, and the reason I do is I think that he's had a good season. I kind of slipped a little bit, I think, in Region One to take fourth.
Yeah, he was
Um,
undefeated coming into the regions,
yeah,
mostly wrestling out of state.
mostly wrestling out of state, but I don't think you can look past him. And it's a tough quarter, and it may prove to be his undoing. But you know what? If he can get kind of through, I don't know that he gets through Lucas, but if he can win a few on the backside, I think he has a shot to make the podium. So
Yeah, not sure exactly what happened in the third place match there, but Otwell wrestled Glavin tight in their region semifinal. The runner-up from Clay was 9-5. Then in the third place match, the kid from Niceville pinned him. But Otwell, he
But
was injured.
that was not
He was
that was
injured
not very
last
nice,
year.
Phil, of him.
He was injured last year, so I know he's worked hard to get back. He was a state placer in 23. He was a state qualifier in 22. So he's been here before. So I don't know why he's coming here fourth instead of third. Um, but he's a good pick for a bracket buster because he certainly could do that
well,
damage.
and for me, just so you know, like when I pick a bracket buster, I look at that like Rylan Herrera, who was a state runner-up, last year. He ends up fourth, and yeah, he's banged up and those sorts of things. But man, having been here, having had the experience, having been on the mats, having wrestled for, a medal at the state tournament, if you're fourth out of your region, I'm going to take you more times than not because you know what the experience is like. You're not going to be
Uh,
surprised. So that's why I go that
you've
way.
seen
And he
my
he was winning his third place match 6-0 after two, and Jarvis caught him at the end. So I don't know if there's a conditioning thing there, but Jarvis went up 9-7 and then pinned him in the third period.
and correct me if I'm wrong. I know Tristan Sains has been to one finals. Is it two finals? Was he runner up 2 years in a row, or was it runner up in third? But this
Look
this
at that
may
segue. State finalist,
this
22,
I
23,
love it.
did not wrestle last year.
right. This may be his best opportunity.
He has
The
been
way that
dominant this year.
the way this bracket
He
lays out.
has.
He's been
Uh, um,
dominant.
a match that I like is the Caden Kersel and Gavin Cohen match right there, right off the rip. I think that's going to be a fun one to watch. They're both very solid and coached well, and I think that's going to be a good one to watch.
So I agree with you. Actually, I think that's a match to watch. For those of you who don't have the brackets necessarily in front of you, that's on the bottom side of the bracket in a 2-3 match. They share the quarter with Wyatt Nevling from Charlotte. At the bottom of that bracket is Tristan Sains, who has been insane this year. He is wrestling.
Hey, hey.
I like it.
Who has
He has
been
been
fantastic,
insane.
has been absolutely unbelievable. His only loss, I believe, this year is to three-time state champion Bo
Yeah.
Hickman out of
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Up top, you've got Laird Duhé Lungsod, who is the Region One champ, and you've got a Leandre Campbell, who is
Yeah.
your region champ from Lake Gibson.
And
Campbell sits in a
if you didn't
great
feel it,
spot.
guys, we transitioned to 150 without even telling you.
Yes, we did.
See, now you just explained the joke. Like if you didn't tell the joke, then you would have had
Yeah.
to smooth this.
Yeah. Oh,
Juhei
that's great.
Longzad, by winning the region, kind of shocked me. He knocked off Gavin Cohen. If you don't know,
Mhm.
Gavin Cohen's fourth place finisher last year in North Carolina. He and his brother at Gulf Breeze now. We've already mentioned his younger brother, the freshman at 106. That starts. It makes me curious as to what the Fleming Island senior can do, but Sains is.
I mean, he certainly has been here a lot,
He's
many times.
yeah. I mean, he's a two-time state placer, also fifth last year, third as a freshman, just a qualifier in 23. I forget the stat that Joe had sent me, Joe Blasucci, the Somerset coach, on what Tristan has done this year and what nobody has done to Tristan this year, and it's just his level of dominance in Florida has been uh, really something to see. And I
Yeah,
think this is year he gets that monkey off his back and wins the state title.
well, and I said this earlier when we came out of the knockout. I'm really happy to see. Uh, if you know the Saints family and you've been around them, Tristan is the one kid, the one brother that is just. They're all great, but he's just so genuine. He's so personable.
Hey,
He's
Michael, Carlos, you see
You
how
got you got some work
he's
to do.
picking Tristan like over
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah.
Is
What's
he the
that
best?
about?
Is
No,
he the best
and
kid, guys? You want to?
and he's great. And he's just it's I was so happy to see him at the knockout. I was so happy to see him back on the mat. He's just a young man that I love to see have success, and I know, having a good talk with him, he really he really wanted to wrestle this year, and I'm glad that he's there, and he's really had a heck of a year. And listen, I know he had that tight win with Basil. I'll say both
Basil.
names so I don't get in trouble. At
You told me it was Basil.
Basil at state duels, and with Basil injured, unfortunate there. This thing has opened up for him. Look, Cameron Popek's no pushover, 50-5. He's a hell of a wrestler. He's gonna come in and wrestle. But yeah, Sains, I think it's really his to lose, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, I think that's the case. I think actually the one thing that's really interesting is that so Jesuit kind of traded from when I was looking at this. Okay, their heavyweight, who I thought for sure would be in the bracket, is not in the
he did not
bracket,
make it.
right? Basil, who is injured and went out. Um, and then you think, well, now they've got a hole at 150, and Caden Kersel has stepped in and stepped up and done an absolute great job. And I'll tell you right now, so for me, when I'm starting to look at different things, if you have a Somerset kid, a Gibson kid, or a Jesuit kid, and they're on the backside, and you've got a kid who is part of a team that has two wrestlers or three wrestlers or whatever. I'm telling you, before that round, David Mason
Yeah.
or
The mo
Danny
the
Walker
team
or
motivation
Lasuche,
can
they
push
are
you.
motivating
Yeah.
those kids to come out and get a win because they need it, and it will matter. And I'm not saying that he's going to
Yeah.
beat Gavin Cohen, but if he gets Harding on the backside, and
Or
then
can he get Santos
can he get
in that
Santos,
round and
you
those
know,
kind of
and
things?
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have obviously those three coaches are state champion coaches and Hall of Fame coaches, and those programs are for a reason, right? So they'll
And
have their kids ready on the back.
just to kind of build off what you're saying, Jason, and you have kids, you both have kids. I've got 5 kids. You can see this. When we're prognosticating, these are still kids, and we don't necessarily know how they'll react if they go to the consolation round. And so the point you're making is so key is uh, the team motivation can sometimes propel someone that shouldn't win on paper because the one that doesn't have the team motivation is just, I mean, they put in a hard year, they put in everything, and now they're in the consolation. Some dreams have been shot. That makes it a little tougher to sometimes pick on the back because you don't know how every single one is going to react to having that front carrot taken away from them and having to regroup. It's one of the hardest things to do is to come back and wrestle in the consolations.
Yeah.
Sometimes within like an hour or two of having your dream shot down. So that's an excellent point that the team push remains a huge motivation for these kids.
Oh, I mean, I can't overstate it. I think it's huge. And especially, one of the things I absolutely, and again, we're going kind of off topic here, and I don't want to because we need to stay on topic to be able to finish this 2A and everything else. But you look at Balmaceda, yeah, your dog is cracking us all up. Um, to look at the best coaches. Oh, you should have seen it before I mean, his legs are all like up and everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah. He's just lounging back there.
It's his
Oh,
birthday, so he can do that.
he
There
can
you
do
go.
that.
I will say, even teams like Balmaceda will get together his South Day
Yeah.
crew. They're winning by 50, and he's still like, we need these points on the backside. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things
Listen,
when you have it makes a huge deal.
and I think all of us have interviewed coaches over the years and at every level. And I remember talking to Omi when he won that national title, when he kept Grandview off and when he knocked Grandview off of their streak. And he said, we did it on the backside. All our
Yeah.
kids came back and we had to motivate them that was where we were going to win it. And that's where we won it. So somebody's going to win it there.
They could, yeah, no doubt. All right, moving to
57.
157. Up top, Middleburg Hammer, Wyatt Leduc. I think that's how you say his name, Leduc.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shares the top side of the bracket with perhaps the favorite, although maybe not the favorite. Hard to know. This is where we're going to have this discussion. Eric Hodge from Somerset. Down bottom side of the bracket, you have KJ Vasquez from Jesuit, returning state runner-up, and Isaiah Zatoni from Osceola Fundamental is the region champ down there as well. The reason I said maybe is because Hodge and Vasquez have split matches this year, and I think Hodge beat Leduc 7-1 earlier
Yes.
this year.
He does have a 7-1 win.
So it looks like it's going to be a Jesuit Somerset, and what you were saying before, Brant, is so true. Was that a dog? Was that your dog?
No.
That was me.
Oh, that was you.
Our
You're the dog.
Armando Wisdom is the good this year.
Okay, so you're gonna take Armando Wisdom to come out of the bottom side?
Over KJ?
No. I mean, it could be no. I KJ. Look, but I
I'm
think
just
that
trying to figure out what noise you're making while we're talking about the favorites.
what was the
Wait,
score of Wisdom Hodge this weekend in the finals?
I
I don't know.
don't
You're
know.
asking, or do
I
you
don't
know it and
know.
you're gonna
Well, I know that they were in the finals, or I think Hodge. I think that's his only loss of the year, right? Is Hodge?
someone
I
play the
don't know.
Jeopardy music while I'm pulling it up?
Look,
No,
I,
listen,
I
Hodge
KJ
just
Hodge
is
Hodge pinned him,
okay. Well,
pinned him
just
in the
that.
third.
No, I think if I were a betting man, I would take KJ versus Hodge. Um,
Hodge
certainly
was up.
wisdom.
Hodge was up 14-0 when he pinned him.
oh,
There you go.
well, that says something.
Certainly, I believe wisdom has an opportunity to make a run for a spot on the podium, just like a number of other different individuals. I just don't see. I mean, it just seems exceedingly likely we're going to get a
Yeah, I
rubber
mean,
match between Vasquez
Yeah.
and
yeah,
Hodge
and
in the
Hodge.
finals.
And look, KJ has gotten big. He's gotten lean. He's wrestling well. He looks good. So is Hodge. Yeah, I mean, but I think Leduc and there's some kids in here that definitely are gonna try to screw up the party.
No
Yep.
doubt.
According to my notes, both Hodge and Vasquez won 4-1 against the other at different points this season.
Zy
Whoa.
Tony. How come you guys aren't talking about my man from Osceola Fundamental down at the bottom there,
Because we've been
42 and
talking
2?
about the finals.
And you don't see him there.
I have him finishing fourth. I have him going up against KJ in the semifinals. He's had a great season over there. We don't see a lot of Pinellas
Right.
wrestlers. They don't get out as much for us to know about him, but he has managed to wrestle some guys. He's beaten Vieira from Timber Creek, who we talked about in 3A as a guy that can win big. He's got a win over Williams from Palm Bay. He's beaten Burbage from Fort Walton Beach. So we've got some wins in there. We just haven't seen him maybe in some of the bigger tournaments. But this kid is tough. He's 42 and 2, and I have him beating Holmquist in the quarters and advancing to face KJ. I just to
Another
me there's two people in this for the first place.
Leduc would like
yeah,
to argue that, I think,
He would
but
like he
yes.
could
Luke,
argue into it.
yeah,
He'd be the third if you had a third person to talk about. But Hodge does have the
The
7-1's
7-1
a
win.
pretty convincing win when you
It
get to
is.
that level.
I
so
didn't
again,
watch the match, so I don't know. But
and
yes.
that could be another, like we were talking about, a Lake Gibson Jesuit finals. This could be a Somerset Jesuit finals. This could be talking
Yeah,
about
Well,
your team race guys.
and that would be
That
huge.
could
yeah. And that's actually what I was saying. That was actually what I was going to refer to before you started making the
Those are
sound,
barking like
Dan.
a dog.
And that was is just like Brant was talking about earlier with a Lake Gibson Jesuit final. Imagine a Jesuit Somerset final where the title is on the line and it comes down to the two of them to determine it.
So imagine that
That
crowd.
sets the stage, man. That gives you goosebumps how good that is.
That would have a whole bunch of people in that crowd interested.
that
All right.
would that would that would be cool. Now 165.
Yeah,
The
you
old
want to just give me a name and then we'll bring it
Draven
down.
McCall, my man
Draven
Draven
McCall.
McCall.
And you know what? It's a good name. I think he said it Army, right?
Yes,
West
Yes.
Point.
I believe so.
Yep.
Um, he is a returning state champion. He shares the top side of the bracket with Malachi Lewis from Niceville. The bottom side of the bracket, you got Julian Gonzalez from North Fort Myers, another one of Brant's North
Yep.
Fort Myers crew. And Blooney De Vilma from Somerset. But I can't, I mean, McCall is the favorite in my opinion, but I can't look past, because of the team implications, the bottom quarter
Yes.
potential matchup between Mustafa and Devona.
Yes. Woo wee.
They have wrestled this year. Mustafa pinned Devioma. Listen, a side note, Blooney was wrestling at Miami Central last year, and the program is improved this year out of Miami Central. He may have been the only one at Miami Central last year. I'm so excited uh, to see him get a chance to compete at Somerset, and he's gotten so much better. And he was a state placer last year. He's a better wrestler right now, but also along those same lines, Sam Mustafa is at Lake Gibson, and he has improved so much in
a
that
ton.
room, and that is the I think that is the match to watch in this bracket. There's other stuff and other things to factor in. I think that's the biggest one in this because I think McCall is such a favorite. He's 1-0 against Davima and 2-0 against Mustafa, but I think that's the one that I want to make sure I'm on the side of the map for.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just throw it out there. I have watched actually Vincent Contreras wrestle this year, and I was very impressed with him as well in that third
Yes,
quarter of the bracket. So he
and he
might be a
gets
name.
Hector Torres in the first round, which is
Yeah, I know.
a tough one.
Well,
So moving.
and you have Adonis who can
Severe.
severely mess up the bracket if he can come through here. Your dark horse.
And
I think it needs to
he
roll off
actually
your
could up
tongue a
there.
little bit.
Yeah.
He could.
Yeah.
That he is
With
my dark
Hernandez
horse.
and Lewis up there, he could definitely find his way into the semifinals on Friday.
Okay.
All right, moving to
By the way,
175.
first of all,
Yeah.
Michael Sains, I do love you as well, and you're all great.
So
Even
I was
if
just
you're
gonna.
not
However,
the best son,
yeah, you're not the
So
best son.
175 pounds. Michael Sains, who is not number one in the Sains family, according
not the
to
best
Dan.
one.
No, just kidding. I'm kidding. Michael's awesome. I'm just actually really disappointed I didn't get to see Michael at the knockout because I know he was competing internationally.
Yeah.
Michael comes in undefeated. I haven't actually seen him wrestle this year, which I usually get an opportunity to. Top, he shares the top with Landon Martin from Clay. At the bottom, you've got Amir Costin out of Auburndale and Nikki Bernard out of Palmetto Ridge. Um, and, for me, just as I look over the bracket, you know, the top side of the bracket with Saints just it's got a lot of intriguing matchups.
It does. I mean, first off, Landon Martin, thank you for proving me right. After a really bad performance in districts, one that he admitted to me that woke him up, made him kind of appreciate what he's doing. He came back. He won a tough region,
Mhm.
avenged his poor performance there. You have him up there. You've got some key a key team race with Braden Kalen at Lake Gibson. He's going against Kalel Hernandez at North Fort Myers, who was ranked toward the top most of the season. He did not have a good region tournament, finished third in 3A3, but he comes in 30-3. That one is something to watch up there. And then you have like a wrestler like Scott Cook, who unfortunately gets Sains in the second half or in the second round. But a guy that I have in the third, fourth place match.
Oh, you have Cook making the third, fourth place match?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
And then in the bottom, Hogg and Aker in the first round is the match to watch. The winner there, I think, gets on the podium, and the loser doesn't. And Pontevedra is still looking for the first placer, according to Southeast Wrestling's.
Well, definitely first placer on the boys' side. They've
Yes,
had
on the boys' side.
on the girls' side.
I saw that reading your at 12:30 in the morning, reading your handbook, your fans guide.
Well, listen, Braden Kalen is a kid that he's got a certain toughness to him, and he has
does everything. He's
moments.
done everything for them.
Yes, he has moments where he steps up and gets some huge wins, and he has moments where you're like, who the hell did we just watch wrestle? Like the kid shows up, but in the big tournaments and the big matches, he tends to show up. So in that top quarter there, getting, he gets past Hernandez, and he's got a matchup with Clay. It wouldn't surprise me if he could pull off the win there.
It's his first trip to state. He wrestled a 220 and 23, wrestled 165 last year. 220, obviously he didn't weigh 220. But this is his first time to state. Be curious. We've seen him do some great stuff in state duels. Be curious how he handles the lights of Not an easy quad with Hernandez and Martin up there. I
No,
don't I
but
don't know
there's
if I share
kid.
your
Yeah,
same
I mean,
optimism.
right. But there's kids sprinkled in here, like an Amir
So
Kostin who wins his region and ends up right there. I mean, he's a kid that could possibly make a run, right?
And we've
so
done all
you
this talk. We haven't even talked about Nicky Bernard.
yeah, well, so go ahead.
I'm
Go
just saying,
ahead.
I just that's your guy that's probably finishing second here. He has had a fantastic season. One of the ones still at Palmetto Ridge, and he has lost to Saints. I don't predict him to win, but I do see him with the skill level to reach the finals here.
So I actually, besides Nikki, I was looking at the bottom quarter of the bracket, and I was looking actually at match number 2268, which is a possible blood round match between Gibson and Jesuits. If Garrity loses to Bernard but can get the win in the next round, he could get Kalen, who drops to that moment in time. And again, being on the podium, not being on the podium, getting placement points, not getting placement points
Yep.
can make a world of difference. So Sains is going to get them points, more than likely first place points
And
for
and and
Right,
Somerset
and some bonus.
right.
and some
And
bonus.
because according to Jason, they've just been insane this year.
They have.
But he's not the best. He's not the best son.
He's not the best.
Poor
Yeah, he's going to
Michael.
come up and talk to me about this too, and you.
Yes, yeah. I
Uh,
love Tris.
Remember, it was Dan who said that,
yeah,
though.
I'm just
Remember that.
kidding. I'm just teasing.
All right, moving to 190 pounds and a really interesting bracket. Up
Oh
top,
yeah,
you got Matthew Sinclair, Fort Walton Beach, and Clark Daly. You from Mariner, you got Brody Switzer from Pasco, who shares the bottom side of the bracket with Mateo Martinez from Somerset. Switzer and Martinez are two of probably your favorites or co-favorites. Martinez is probably your favorite, but they also share the bottom side of the bracket with Jacob Rodriguez from Winter Springs, who ended
yes.
up third out of Region 1. So it's really interesting the way this bracket plays out. And that third quarter of the bracket looks really, really fun.
Yeah, and Winter Springs. We talk about the big two or big three, but Winter Springs has really built something, and their kids are coached well, and they're going to come to wrestle.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, he's a state placer from last year,
He is.
and Switzer actually beat him last year in state placer in sudden victory when they wrestled for seventh place. In the offseason, Mateo beat Switzer by fall, just for notes and such. But that bottom half of the bracket with five wrestlers in my top eight in the rankings, you'll see when they come out on Tuesday. Lots of interesting things there. Wes Lucas is someone to watch. Freshman, younger brother of Solomon. He does not weigh 190 pounds. He is someone who is eating as much as he can to be up and wrestling there for the team, just because that's where the spot was needed. And he has come on this season. I would not be shocked if he pulls off a stunner over Rodriguez or make some noise in the back. I don't have him doing that, but I wouldn't be shocked if he did, because that's a really
Okay. Okay.
tough.
I
It's a
got you.
tough bracket that he's on because the loser of that first round match will have to face the loser of Bradley Daly in that podium round on the backside.
Oh yeah, and I actually didn't even mention Gary Bradley. So Bradley is a hammer, and I actually don't know Daly, Clark Daly. I don't know that I saw him at the knockout, um, but definitely one to watch. And I'll tell you what, Sinclair looked really good in winning Region 1 up top.
Yeah, Daly went 2-2 at knockout. He was there.
Yeah,
He's got a collection of wins. He's he's beaten I'm trying to see anyone that's in this. He has a win over Montgomery, a couple of them at Middleton, who's a tough wrestler. He's beat Ramius of Coral Springs, who's in 3A. He's beat Campbell from Merritt Island, who's in 1A. So
there you
he was
go.
he was blood round region last year. So this is his first trip to state.
Moving to 215. And do you guys know what happened in Region 1 in the semifinals between Nilson and Loveland?
I do not. So I don't
So,
know what that means for this week.
yeah, and the only reason I say that is Nilson it wasn't listed as a DQ, but
Okay.
Loveland was injured.
Okay, that's okay. That's
But advanced to the finals, won by injury. So, but
yes.
Nielsen came back and took
And wrestled
third.
back. He wrestled twice back to finish third.
But Loveland forfeited his finals
Yes.
to Babbitt.
And the only thing we have on the note here is that Loveland was up 1-0 off a penalty point. So
Right.
when
I
it
don't
was
know.
when it was called ID.
I thought maybe you guys might know. So you got Babin up top, Brady Comerford down, also the region champ up top. You've got Caleb Johns from Springstead and Harper Noel from Heritage, who I think Brant talked about a few weeks ago,
I
making his
did.
comeback.
Yeah, he's the only state placer to return at the weight this year. I'm not going to give up his injury now because then people will. He got hurt in the summer. I was told he was out for the year. He's battled his way back. Uh, even as recently as December, his coach was telling me just how upset he was, but how impressed he was at how he had handled it, and he was just praying with the team just for them to do well, and somehow he beat the timetable. He made it back. He's 9 and
And
0
looked good
in his
last
short
weekend.
stint. It looked real good last weekend. That was like, to me, I needed to see that last weekend, and see him dominate, and he did. I don't know what happened in 1A, or I'm sorry, in 2A1, but you end up with the 2 seed and the 3 seed at the bottom of the bracket, and you end up with a potential Noel Loveland match in the quarterfinals, depending on how
That's right.
Loveland's doing, because I still have him ranked second because even though he did not win the region, he has a win over when he and Babin wrestled. He beat him by sudden victory, so I kept him up there in the rankings for now. But that bottom bracket is tough, but then it creates an interesting thing at the top where you also have Babin. You also have Brady Comerford, who is the first region champ at Pinellas Park in over a decade. He's got a
Woo.
path to the final. If he makes the state final, he will be the first Pinellas Park wrestler to reach the final since 2004. Pinellas Park has a long history, or not long history, an ancient history. What did you say? Very good in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
State runner-up one of the years. They had one of the first 3-time champs was from Pinellas Park. They even
Tad Yeager.
hosted the states one year. Been a long time since they've had that kind of success. And just the way this bracket plays out, you could see them getting their first finalists in 21 years, which would be pretty wild.
Well,
What stuck out to me was that Bill Crum is still wrestling. He's much older than these kids, and I think that's really interesting that he's in the top of the bottom bracket.
um, the thing that I noticed, and I asked you guys this question, and I don't even know if you know who this is, but I don't know how common the last name Comerford is, but
Yeah, that I don't know if there's a family there.
back in the late 1990s, there was a state champion from St. Petersburg.
I
He's a
would assume
heavyweight.
that's the same area,
Had
same
Willie
size.
Comerford. Willie Comerford was a state champion, and I just didn't know if there was a relationship. So, if there is, there's a pedigree there.
Yes.
So,
So
Yeah,
anyway,
the three of you that have gotten this far, please find out about it.
yeah. I
it's
could find.
We'll have to
By the
just
time I could find out today for you, but I should have checked that earlier. But sleep.
All right, move to 285. And man,
Wow,
I love it when 285
is good.
is good. And it is good
It is so
here
good.
in 2A.
In fact, that's what I wrote. I was like, it's so awesome when the heavyweights is one you don't want to leave early.
Well, you have your returning state champion and your returning state runner-up on the top side of the
Yep.
bracket.
And the
They're
guy who's beat
shared,
both of them on the bottom.
yep. So they share the top side with Blake Elder from Jensen Beach. You got Ari Bentley, who is a region champ, sharing the bottom side with Seth Ismus. Is that how you say it?
I've always in my head I've always said Shiams.
Isms?
I've always said
Shiams?
Shiams, but
Shiams?
I don't know for certain on that.
Yeah, no, that's probably
Though
right.
someone will message me or they'll tell me on Thursday.
But you know what? If you look at the region results, Ryder Luck beat Logan McAllister, who is a returning state placer, I think in a very close match. McAllister sits in the same quarter as
Yeah.
Shields.
Yeah,
So
Luck and McAllister
ooh.
went to sudden victory on the weekend. I actually just got to see video of it. It was a good finish.
So how is 285 going to play out? What do you think?
I mean, the crazy thing is as wild as it is, we've got like results to work off of, which for me, I like that. I know previous results don't always translate into results a second time.
Future returns.
Guys. But so
Past is
we've got
for
a
long.
quarterfinal. If Elder gets past Kevin Reyes, you have Newton and Elder wrestling. They have wrestled twice. Newton has won by ultimate tiebreaker and by sudden victory. Uh,
Woo!
if they go to the semis, he wrestles Luck. Luck beat him last year in the state finals. This year they rematched about a month ago, and Newton won 4-1. Uh, I know Luck's been battling back. Is better now than he was then. Should make for an interesting thing there. But then you have Seth Cheams at the bottom, and he's 2-0 against Newton this year in the postseason. He's beat him 4-2 in the region final, 5-4 in the district final. And then all these other things that can mix in, like Logan McAllister, uh, who believes he's a state placer. He believes he can wrestle with anyone in this bracket. And he won't be afraid to tell you. Even Toomey and Bentley are intriguing up there. The winner of that probably makes the podium. Loser doesn't. Bentley, assuming his brother places at 215, would be the second Tavares wrestler to ever place at the state tournament. So much to watch in this. And team wise, you have Leyland Callahan up there for Lake Gibson, who's going to try to get onto the podium here. Ahead of Bay, they could match up in that podium match in the bottom. If we're looking at since you called out bout numbers 2280, I have Somerset and Lake Gibson meeting there. So maybe an important matchup.
Have they met before this season in this season?
Yeah, Callahan has a pin Bay this season, so he
There you
does have
go.
a win over him. It's
Wow.
just
I, you
it's
know,
fun. It's fun when
yeah,
285
I
looks
mean,
like this.
I just really think that a big guy is going to win it here.
I think you're right, Dan.
Yep. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything about sizes when you talk about 285. I learned my lesson at the ale house last year.
I think one of the big
this. I don't know this story.
Anybody wants to hear that story, you can contact me at the state tournament. I'll tell you it.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. All right. All right.
Fantastic.
So
Oh no,
is
that's right. The big reveal
2A.
now.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
The big reveal, the team race.
So we want to hear it.
All right.
Because
So
Dan, you and I are both kind of sitting in the same spot. We haven't worked out the brackets. We've
Nope.
talked about Somerset.
So-
We've talked about Lake Gibson. We've talked about Jesuit. What does your gut tell you, Dan? Before
I was
okay,
going to
go
ask you
ahead.
guys who you think.
Yeah, I want to know who
Yeah.
he thinks.
Yes. Who do you guys think?
Me?
Yes. Who would you pick for the state champ team?
You know, with
This
13
pause
kids,
brought to you by Southeast Wrestling's Fans Guide.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I'm leaning Gibson.
All right. Your pick, Jason?
So guys, I mean, I really think that I'm leaning towards Somerset.
All right. Now, this is based fully and wholly only on my predictions, which are based on my rankings. So obviously, I don't factor in some of the things we've talked about on this podcast about motivation and the concies and those kind of things. I'm going to give you guys two numbers and see if you change your mind before we get to my reveal. My predicted state placers: Somerset with 10, Lake Gibson with 9, Jesuit with 8. Predicted state champions with 3, Lake Gibson with 1.
Say it again. You paused. What was it?
You broke up.
Did you hear my state placers?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it did.
Yes. We were same places.
State,
not
state champs. 3 for Tampa Jesuit, 3 for Somerset, 1 for Lake Gibson.
Okay.
You guys still cool with your
I'm still good with mine.
According to Cabo Wrestling's formula, based off an average point number for every place, coming in at third place, Lake Gibson.
Interesting.
And I can pull up the numbers here to tell you how close it was.
I bet it's pretty damn close.
It was not as close as you would guess.
Really?
But
Okay.
again, let me
with all due respect,
let me preface this
I feel
again.
like if yeah, I just that's what I
Actually,
felt.
okay,
I
so
mean,
actually it's a little closer there than I thought. They were 10 points on mine, not counting in bonus points. 10 points behind number 2, Somerset.
You have Jesuit winning?
I have Jesuit winning by almost 20 points, not counting in.
you know what's really good about this? That's everybody out there. We did this purposely. I
we
took Lake
didn't. We didn't
Gibson.
even do
He
this.
took Somerset, and he took Jesuit. It's all purposely. What we did was we pulled names out of a hat, and that's who we got. So now whoever wins can come and shake our hand.
I can't actually believe that we all picked somebody different. That's
That's
crazy.
And I don't know that I would have done that on my own, but going through the numbers again, bonus points change thing, consolation rounds change thing. The key for Lake Gibson is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weight classes where they don't earn double-digit points. If some of those guys can change that narrative, win some matches we don't have them win on paper, that pushes them up. I have Jesuit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wrestlers winning at least 15 points or more, and 3 of them with champs. So that helps them out. Somerset, we have 1, 2, 3, 5 guys not scoring double-digit points. Again, 10 placers, but if some of those placers move up the podium, that tightens things up. So if Lake Gibson, who I have finishing second 3 times, if one or two of those win a state title, that changes things up. But based on what I predicted, based on my rankings, which are always subject to interpretation, I am saying Tampa Jesuit will be the team state champ this year.
That is great. I think that what this illustrates, honestly, is that you can look at it and it will come down to just
this one. You're gonna have napkins out with paper with
yeah,
numbers on them.
this is going to be so good to watch. If you're sitting in the stands, this is going to be just a super fun team race.
Every
to
round
watch.
is going to matter in this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, peace.
And if anybody stayed to the end, you get to. I mean, you'll see it on my preview too, but you get that gift from watching all the way through here.
All right, guys, take care.
That's how my dog.
Hey! He's just talking about his dog. Welcome.
Yeah, if you want to see, check out the middle of our 2A podcast and see my dog in all its glory.
Yeah, welcome to 1A. This is what we're doing in 1A. And
sorry.
Please hold.
We'll just start over.
Yeah, just start over.
Yeah.